Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we've got something really different for you. We're diving into a source that's both academic and just deeply personal.
It really is. We got our hands on a full 15-week university syllabus.
Yeah, it's for a philosophy course called, get this, The Portable Groove, a 15-week philosophy of analog listening.
And it's just an extraordinary source. I mean, it's not a technical manual, it's not an equipment review, it's a whole semester-long journey.
Right.
It's designed to turn the simple act of listening to a record on, a pretty modest machine into this rigorous practice of mindfulness.
And that's our mission for you today. We're going to try and bypass the 15 weeks of homework and distill the absolute core of this philosophy.
And really focus on the joy.
Exactly. The joy, the tactile nature of it all, and just ignore the noise about gear and specs.
That's essential because the course itself, it explicitly sets itself up as a kind of sanctuary from what it calls the negative discourse of audiophile culture.
So it's a safe space for your cheap record player.
Basically, yeah. It frames that portable player, the one that gets so much scorn online, not as flawed hardware, but as an object of liberation.
A vehicle for personal growth.
Yeah.
It says you need three things: a good notebook, a curious mind, and an honest willingness to reflect.
Absolutely. The machine is almost secondary. The main idea is to elevate your appreciation of music into this daily habit of deep analog reflection. It's really an antidote to the modern world.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Starting with the learning objectives, they really set the tone right from the start.
They do.
It's where they plant their anti-gatekeeping flag.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the main goals here? What does the student have to achieve?
There are four main ones, and they kind of build on each other. First, you have to contextualize the history of portable audio.
Yeah.
You have to see it as a tool for, social freedom. Then second, and this is the most confrontational part,
Yeah.
you have to actively deconstruct the negative discourse around entry-level players and replace it with a philosophy of, and they put this in bold, pleasure-first listening.
I find that fascinating. It's not just suggesting you ignore the critics. It's an academic requirement to actively tear down their arguments.
It is. It recognizes that, online criticism is a huge barrier for so many hobbies.
For sure.
The course says that if you start your journey feeling shame about your equipment, you can never truly connect with the music.
So what are the last two objectives?
They're about action. You have to cultivate a daily listening habit with physical media and then synthesize it all into a final project. It's a surprisingly practical philosophy course.
And that practicality starts with the materials. You need the portable player, of course, but it insists you also have a high-quality paper notebook and a fountain pen or a pencil. No typing.
And the notebook and pen are given equal status to the turntable itself. They're central to what's called the ritual of entry, which is the theme for the whole first month.
The physical resistance, the drag of the pen on paper, is designed to slow you down.
Right. It immediately establishes this no judgment zone in your head. Because writing by hand, it just forces a different kind of introspection.
That makes sense. Typing is for speed, writing is for processing, and this is where it gets really interesting. The very first assignment is to write a manifesto of intent in that notebook.
Yes.
What are you actually committing to?
That manifesto is a personal contract. It's designed specifically to protect your own joy from all that negative discourse.
So you're writing your own shield.
You are. And the commitment is to prioritize the scratch of the pen on paper just as much as the needle in the groove. It's this dual focus, physical and auditory.
But I do have to push back a little here. Is forcing this philosophy on students really philosophical? Or is it just, insulating them from the reality that some cheap players can damage records?
And that is the exact tension the course is built on.
Okay.
It argues that before you can even engage with the technical limits, you have to build your own internal resilience first. It's not denying physics, it's denying the authority of the critic to define your joy.
So it's like a temporary retreat to build up your strength.
Exactly. And the foundational belief you have to adopt is so powerful. It's the best record player is the one that is currently playing music I love.
If you really believe that, you basically solve the whole consumer anxiety loop.
You're off the hamster wheel.
I love how they front-load that defense mechanism. They even give you specific daily reflection prompts for that first week.
They do. One task is 20 minutes of silent listening every day. No phone, just you and the record.
And the other one?
The other is to find a specific negative comment you've heard, maybe online, and then write down exactly how you plan to protect your joy from that critique.
Wow. So you're training yourself to neutralize the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And the syllabus gives some great advice right here. Set up an analog station.
That's right. It's a dedicated physical spot where your notebook, your pen, and your player all live, and crucially, where digital noise is not invited.
It's not just about being organized.
No, it's about carving out mental space.
Mm.
Tells your brain this is where we slow down.
So once you have that mental and physical sanctuary, you have your shield. But then the course looks outwards, right? To month 2, it anchors this personal joy in history.
Right. That brings us to the second month, themed history and portability.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture,
This whole phase is about exploring the portable audio boom of the 50s through the 70s. The goal is to show you that your player is part of this long democratic lineage.
the syllabus details some pretty deep research activities here, specifically on 1950s portable culture.
It focuses on the RCA Victor 45 portables. And why those? Because they were part of the first Great Rebellion against, like, the hi-fi furniture era.
Music used to be trapped in a giant cabinet in the living room.
Yes, usually controlled by the dad. The 45 player was small, it was cheap, and teenagers could carry it. They could take their music out of the house and into their own social lives.
So the portable player becomes a tool of social revolution. The course asks you to reflect on that shift, on the idea of the record party.
Yes. Before that, music kind of reinforced social hierarchies. Once it became portable, it became communal, democratic. And the syllabus points to specific sources for this.
Like High Fidelity magazine from the 50s. They want you to see the miracle of having a home library, to contrast it with our modern assumption of infinite access.
And they also point to Record Research magazine from 1955. This source captures that early autodidact spirit people who were collectors first, driven purely by a love for the music, not by elitism.
It's about seeing yourself as part of that lineage. And week 7 culminates with a theme of democratic listening, linking the 50s teenager to your own moment of reclaiming music.
And from history, it transitions perfectly into aesthetics in month 3, the aesthetic of imperfection. This is where you're asked to embrace what's often seen as a flaw.
We're talking about finding beauty in lo-fi sound, the pops, the clicks, all of it.
Exactly. The core concept for week 9 is the beauty of the crackle. And the activity it's really profound. You listen to a really noisy record and describe the pops and clicks as if they were a second instrument.
A second instrument. How does that change your perception?
It reframes the noise as history. You stop hearing imperfections and you start hearing a story. The assignment asks, what story does this wear and tear tell?
Your record becomes unique.
Utterly unique. It stands in stark contrast to the sterile, repeatable perfection of digital.
And this section has some powerful literary grounding, too. They have you read a 1941 short story, The Portable Phonograph.
That story is foundational. It's set in this grim, post-apocalyptic world where survivors share a wind-up portable player and 4 records.
And the machine becomes a pool.
A soul-saving device. It's a vessel holding the memory of human expression. The course demands you see your own little suitcase player through that same lens.
It's asking a lot.
It is. And the reflective prompts here really force that analog versus digital comparison. You're asked to acknowledge the limitations of your player.
The bass it lacks, the fidelity it can't achieve.
Yes, and then reflect on how those very limitations actually simplify the listening experience.
Because without the pressure for perfection, you're just left with the music.
That's it. You have to compare the infinite choice of streaming to the single choice of a record and ask yourself which one feels more peaceful.
That brings us to month 4, synthesis and expression, where this whole philosophy culminates in 2 major assignments.
By week 13, you have to start planning your final projects. The first one is the art assignment, which is called The Soul of the Machine.
And this has to be done entirely in that paper notebook, right?
Absolutely. It's a creative tribute. It needs a hand-drawn diagram, but also a color palette of the sounds the machine produces.
A color palette of sound.
Yeah, using colors and textures to describe the feeling. And you have to include tucked-in physical ephemera.
Like pressed flowers or a ticket stub from a concert.
Exactly. A record store receipt. Something that anchors the music to a real time and place, making the notebook this literal vessel of personal history.
That's incredibly tactile. And the second major assignment is the final reflective paper.
This is the intellectual capstone, 5 to 7 pages, and it must be handwritten. The focus is on how ignoring the online negativity allowed you to develop an authentic relationship with music.
So you have to be honest about your own internal transformation.
Totally. The reflections leading up to it ask questions like, what did I learn about my own ego during this course? It gets deep.
And the whole thing ends with a final ritual, week 15, the final groove.
It's a closing ceremony. You play your favorite record from the past 15 weeks, you read your paper aloud to the room, even if it's just to yourself, and then you symbolically close the notebook.
So what does this all mean?
It means this course transforms a simple hobby, buying a record player, into this rigorous practice of mindfulness, self-discovery, and reclaiming your own joy. It's less about the needle and more about cultivating the soul.
It's a really beautifully structured path to democratic joy, celebrating the machine as a tool for freedom, not a spec sheet that invites criticism.
And there's a great actionable tip in here for anyone starting a new hobby.
The analog station.
Setting up that dedicated area where your materials for the task live and where digital distractions just aren't invited. It's powerful advice for carving out space for focused joy.
It really is.
Because the fundamental thing this whole course tries to prove is this: the joy you feel while listening is more valid than any technical critique you can find on a screen. And that leaves us with a question for you to think about.
What's that?
If we apply this core philosophy, this idea of joy and accessibility over the burden of perfection to other areas of our lives, art, career, learning a new skill, what unnecessary anxiety could we shed if we just happily embraced the limitations of our entry-level tools for the sake of a simple, authentic connection?